Angie from Gamer Crafting, and today we're going to be learning how to make these super awesome, like ombre rainbow granny squares that so many of you have been asking about. This video is for the super beginners because I've had a lot of lifelong knitters that wanted to learn how to crochet just to make these squares. So this is the super step-by-step for absolute crochet beginners. If you're a bit more intermediate, you already know the basics, and there's a link in the profile to the intermediate video that's just going to tell you the ins and outs of just the pattern. So basically what you're going to need is you're going to need 9 different colors of yarn that kind of range through whatever rainbow spectrum you want, whether you want, like really bold colors or more neons or pastels. And then for each square you use 7 colors, and you just kind of graduate out from whichever color. I'm not the boss of you, so you can choose whatever you want to do with that. And you'll be able to make one of these when you're done, and it's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get started. Alright, we're going to get started with our rainbow circle square crochet tutorial. Once again, if you are not a beginner, there is a link to a more intermediate bare bones tutorial in the description. So we're going to be working on making these squares today. Like I said in the introduction, you can use any weight of yarn and any hook that corresponds to it, but these I think are a pretty good size, and it's 4-ply yarn, and I'm using a 3.5mm hook. So to get started, pick your first color that you're going to be using for the center of your circle. So I'm going to be starting with orange, a bit of a tangerine. Okay, so for my beginners, how you're going to do this is you're going to start by making a slip knot. So you cross the yarn over like that, and you pull the long strand attached to the yarn through, and pull. And then we're going to start off, put the hook through your yarn, through the loop. And different people hold their yarn different ways in crochet. This is kind of how I hold mine. So first what you're going to do is we're going to chain 4. So to make a chain, you wrap the yarn around the hook and you pull it through your loop. So that's a one chain. We'll do it again. 2, 3, 4. Now because these are in the round, we need to make a loop. So we're going to go into the very first chain that we made. We're going to take the hook and we're going to go right into this chain here, like that. So now you have 2 loops on the hook, the last one that you made and the first one that you made. And then you're going to wrap around this yarn again. This is your working yarn. Don't use the tail. You're going to wrap the working yarn around, and you're going to pull it through both of those loops. So it's a bit hard to see, but you do have a loop now of stitches. So then, to get started, we're going to chain 1. At the beginning of any round, you have to chain in order to get the height for your stitch. So we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to chain again, because we're going to be doing double crochets. There are different terms for American and British crochet terminology. I'll be using American for this tutorial, but every time I say double, if you're British, you can just think treble. Okay, so we've chained 2, and that counts for 1 double. So we're going to yarn around. We're going to go into our loop. It's hard to find the first time, but once you get that, you'll be good. Yarn around through, so there are now 3 loops on the hook. And yarn around again, pull it through, 3, yarn around, and we're going to pull it through the first 2 only. 1, 2, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, pull it through those 2. So now we have the equivalent of 2 double crochet stitches next to each other into the loop. So then we're going to chain 1 to create a bit of space between the next set. Okay, and we're going to do that again, so we're going to yarn over to create another double crochet stitch, yarn over through the loop, pull up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull it through 2, and the last 2. Once again, yarn over, into the loop, pull up a loop through the loop, yarn over, pull it through 2, and the other 2. So now we have 2 sets of double crochets. So between each set of 2, we'll be chaining 1 to create a bit of space that we're going to be crocheting into on the next round. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 2 more double crochets. Yarn over, through the loop, pull 1 up, yarn over, pull 2, pull 2. Yarn over. So you'll see as you start getting into it that you get kind of a rhythm going. We're going to chain 1 between that set. We're going to do 2 more double crochets, or treble crochet if you're British, or follow British terminology. So we're going to keep going, doing the same thing until we have 6 sets into the center loop. 6 sets and 12 double crochets. So as you'll see now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I need 1 more set of 2 double crochets. And then to finish off this round, we're going to chain 1 to create that gap. And we're going to slip into the first stitch that we made, and we're going to pull a loop through, and we're going to pull that loop through the second loop. And that just joins the round together. So there you go, you have your center. And we're going to start on the next round. So to do that, we're going to get our scissors. And you can just cut a bit of a length enough to make you feel comfortable. I'm just going to pull that and just kind of tighten it a little bit. A lot of crocheters like to weave their ends in as we go. I like to do that. Obviously I didn't do it with this down here, but I do like to do that a lot of the time because it makes it a bit neater when you're finishing up. So now that we're ready to join the second color, we're going to be starting and bringing in the yellow yarn. So for this, we're going to go into any of the chains, the chain spaces. So that's, you can see that there's a set here and a set here, and here's that chain 1 space, and that's what we're going to be working into on this round. It sounds complicated, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be making these squares left, right, and center. So you can join into any loop, but I like to do one that's close to the tail so that you can weave it in. So we're going to go into that chain space. Again, here's the chain space, we're going to go in. And you can just kind of hold that tail there. And you're going to join the yellow yarn, wrap it around your hook like that. And you're going to pull it through that chain 1 space. And you're going to take the working end, again, the working end is the one attached to the yarn, the working end, and pull it through. So now your yellow yarn is attached. So we're going to keep doing some double crochets, but with a similar pattern. So we're going to, you'll need to hold these tails a little bit as you go the first couple of stitches. So we're going to be doing 2 double crochets and then 2 chains and 2 more double crochets into each of these chain 1 spaces that we made on the first round. So to get started, yarn over, through 2, through the other 2, there's 1 double crochet, do another one, through 2 loops, through 2 loops, and then we're going to chain 2 and do 2 more double crochets. And then you're going to chain 2 again to get over to the next space to give you a bit of length. And you're going to go into the next chain 1 space from that first round, so that'll be where this gap is here. And we're going to do 2 double crochets. chain 2, and 2 more. So as you can see, I'm taking those ends with me as I go around the circle. Makes it easier when we finish up later. And then to finish, we're going to chain 2. We're going to go into the first loop that we made, and we're going to do another one of those slip stitches. So we're going to bring it through, and then bring that loop through this loop to join that round together. So there you go, that's the second round done. We are whipping along. And so, now that we're ready to join the next color, we're going to snip the yellow. We're going to bring in the green yarn. Once again, just pull that, tighten it a bit. Get ready to start using our green yarn. Make sure it's not tangled. Alright, so we're going to be working into these gaps again, like we did on the previous round. And it's a bit easier, I think, for beginners to work into gaps instead of stitches because it's a bit easier to see. And if you are wondering which yarn this is Lana Grossa Cotone. It's a 4-ply yarn. It's mercerized, so it doesn't split, which is also good for beginners. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to work with splitty yarn. So we're going to join the green yarn just like we did with the yellow. Just pull it through and using the working yarn. We go. So for this one, we're going to be working 3 double crochets into each of these gaps that we made. So let's get started with the first one. One, 2, 3. And then we're going to chain 2 to get us to the next space. Oops. Sometimes that happens. Yarn comes out. It's not a crisis though. Chain 2 to get us the space. And we're going to do 3 into the next one as well. 1, 2, 3. Once again, if you carry these tails with you, you don't have to weave them in later, and less work is always good. All right, chain 2 to the next space. This round seems to go a little bit faster than the previous ones, or than the previous one, I guess. And then again to finish, oops, try it again, 3. It's normal for your yarn to slip off the hook. Don't worry about that. So once again, to finish up this round, chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch that we made. I'm going to go in, grab some yarn, make a loop, and pull that loop through the first loop. Right, so third round done. Excellent. So we're going to snip that green yarn. Snip. And we're going to pull. I'm going to bring in the light blue colored yarn. So just like the previous rounds, I'm going to join it up. So in this round, we're still going to be doing our double crochets. It's pretty much the main stitch until we get to the very last round. All right. Oops. Let's try it again. So for this we're going to be doing the same thing that we did on the yellow round. We'll be doing 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2 to get into the next space. So we'll be doing that. It's the same as round 2 all the way around. Get started with that. Yarn over, make our first. All right, and so we're going to chain 2 to get us over to that next space. We're going to do the same thing. Again, you can carry these tails along with you, so you don't have to weave them in as much later. But if that's a bit much for you as a beginner, then don't worry, it's perfectly fine to weave them in later. 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets, we're just going to keep doing this all the way around, just like we did on round 2 with the yellow. Okay. Now again, to join this to the front of the round, we're going to chain 2 to create that space. And we're going to take it into the first stitch, like we've done on the previous rounds. Pull that yarn through, and pull that loop through that first loop. Alright, 4 rounds done. Almost there, only 3 to go. So then we're going to snip that yarn. Put to the side, I'm going to pull that again, pull it tight. And contracts. So now we're going to bring in our dark blue yarn. Obviously you don't have to use the colors in the same order I do. Entirely free to do whatever you want. Right, so we're going to be working into these spaces like we have on every other round. A bit easier to see. And this is probably my favorite round because it goes the fastest, because we're only doing 2 double crochets into each space. That's it. So again, we're going to join our yarn. Just like we have with all of the other colors. Pull through. We're going to do 2 double crochets into each space. Alright, just that. And we're chaining 2, and we're moving over to the next space. Okay, and then we're going to chain 2. We're going to join in the first stitch, like we have been. Through the stitch, that stitch there, pull the yarn through, and pull that loop through the first loop. Alright, making tracks. We're going to snip, pull that tight. So we're really making a move. Starting to see that it's really starting to come together now. And you can see that I've sort of been weaving the ends in as we go. Like this, these ends are only little shorties now. So that later it'll be much easier to weave those in and just snip them off rather than trying to do the whole thing. So now that we're done with the dark blue yarn, I'm going to bring in our purple yarn. Oops. And we'll get started. So once again, we're going to join our purple yarn the way we've been joining yarn throughout the time into a space. Grab that yarn, pull it through, loop, pull through. Okay, so for this round, we're going to be doing 3 double crochets into every space. 1, 2, 3. And then once again, we're going to be chaining 2 to get us over to the next space. And again, if you pick up these ends as you go, it'll be easier to weave them in later. So you'll see that I just sort of pick that up with it. Right, into the next space, 3 double crochets. So this is like the third round when we were doing 3 double crochets in every space. This is just the same as that. And then for the end of our round, once again, we're going to chain 2. We're going to go into that first stitch. We're going to pull that through. Right. Now for this next part, we are not going to change yarn colors because we won't see this next part when it's all done. It's just to provide foundation for the final round that squares it off. We're staying with the purple, and we are going to chain 1, give us some height. We're going to chain 3. Remember, that's just pulling this through. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to single crochet into the next space. So a single crochet is the same as a UK double, but I'll be using US terms obviously for this, so this will be a single crochet. So you have your 3 chains, and you're going to go into the next space. You're not going to yarn over beforehand, so you're just going directly into the next space, pulling up a loop. There's 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull that through. So we're going to keep doing that all the way around. And this is the last one, so we're going to go into this first 3 chain that we did here. And just like before, we're just going to slip stitch. So pull the yarn through that through this one to edge off the round. Now that we're done with that one, we can snip the purple and pull that tight. Okay, so this last round is going to be a bit more challenging, but I promise we'll take it step by step and you'll be finished before you know it. So I'm going to pull in my light purple for this last round. Like I said, you can do your colors in any order, it doesn't matter, whatever you enjoy, it is all good. Some yarns are a bit more compatible than others. This Lana Rossa it's pretty good. But if you look at, you know, like this here, this is Lang Baby Cotton and the colors meld a bit more. Okay, so we're going to pull through the light purple. To join it, like we have all of the other colors. Pick up the tail. So first, into this first space that we're in, we're going to do 3 single crochets, which is what we were doing on the last round. So if you remember for that one, we don't yarn over before, we go straight in, loop a loop, 2 in the hook, yarn over, and pull it through. You can do 3 of those, 2 and 3. And then because these spaces are so much more close together, we don't have to chain to get to the next one, because it's right next door. So we're going to go to the next one. We're going to do another single crochet into the next space here. And 1 more. So that's 3 single crochets into the first space, and 2 into the next space. So 3 into this space and 2 into this space. Okay, and now we're going to do a half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, like you would with our double, yarn over, through, pull up a loop, but there's 3 on the hook. Now for our double crochet, this is where we would yarn over, pull through 2, and then pull through the remaining 2. But for this, we're just going to yarn over and pull it through all 3 of those loops. And you'll notice that that stitch is a little bit taller. We're going to do that again into this, yarn over, pull it through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull it through all. Super. We are getting there. Okay, so we're going to be going into the next space now. We're going to do another one of those half doubles. Pull all 3. And then we're going to do 2 doubles. Our old friends. Pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Another one of those. So these stitches, as you can see, they're getting a bit taller, and this is to build out the corner. Alright, so on the next space, we're going to do a treble crochet, an American treble crochet. So for that, we're going to yarn over twice, so that there's already 3 loops on the hook. We're going to go through, we're going to pull one up. So that's 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do that again. Yarn over twice, 3 loops on the hook, pull the loop, 4, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, another one of those. Pull through 2, pull through 2. One more. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that's the basis of our corner, and we've done 4 of those. So now I'm going to chain 4. To create a loop in the corner, and then we're going to do 4 more treble crochets. So yarn over twice, pull the loop, 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. 3 more of those. Oops. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So once you're done with this project, you'll know a lot of the basics for crochet. You can spread your wings and do all kinds of stuff. The building blocks of crochet are pretty finite. There's not as much technique as there is in knitting. But that doesn't mean that you can't do just as much cool stuff as you do with knitting. I like crochet because it's faster for sure. Okay, so we've done our 4. We've chained 4 to create this loop. And we've done 4 more treble crochets. So now we're going to be going back down this side. So we're going to go into the next space here. And we're going to do our 2 doubles. 1 and 2. We're going to do another half double. So if you remember, that was a yarn over through the loop. 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull it through all of them. Okay. We're going to go into the next one with a half double. Yarn over, push through, yarn over, pull through all. Another one of those. And then that's another single crochet, so we don't yarn over for this one. Through 2. So you can see that we have very distinct corner now. And so we're going to keep doing that all the way around. So into the next one, we're going to do 3 single crochets, just like we started. So we're going to have 1, oops, try that again. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, okay, and the next one we're going to have 1, 2, and one of our half doubles, so yarn over through 3 loops on the hook, pull it through all. Okay, into the next space we're going to do another half double, yarn over, 3 on the hook, pull through all. We're going to do 2 doubles now. There's 1, and now we're doing 2. Okay, so we've gotten over here to where we're going to be doing the second corner. So into the next space, we're going to do the 4 trebles, the 4 chain space, and 4 more. So we're going to, remember, we're going to loop twice into the hole, 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull it through 2, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. Again, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's 3. 1 more before the chain space. 2, 2, 2. Okay, so that's our 4 initial trebles. So now we're going to chain 4 to give that little hole in the corner, which makes it easier when you're joining your squares up later. Okay, so we're going to do 4 more of the trebles. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. 2 more trebles into the corner here. So as you can see, this method of putting the corners in would work for pretty much anything circular. So if you find a nice circle pattern somewhere on the internet, but you want to turn them into squares to make it a blanket, it's quite easy to do the same sort of thing, where you just build a corner and build back down and just kind of mirror it either way. Okay, so now that we've done the second corner here, we're going to start decreasing the height back down. So we're going to do our 2 doubles into the next space. 1, 2. And then we're going to do a half double. So 3 on the hook, pull it through all. We're going to do another half double, pull it through all. We're going to do 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then we're going to do, this is our flat space, remember, so this is going to be 3 singles into this next space. Alright, so now we've gone all the way around, turning our circle into a square. And so now that we're here, we're going to reach into the first stitch that we did, just like that, okay? We're going to pull it up and we're going to join it just like we've done with all of the other rounds. So just pull that loop through this loop. And then we can snip this and pull it tight. Okay, so you have a finished square. It's very exciting. So you'll notice I did this square with the Lana Grossa and a 3.5mm hook. And I made this square with the same weight yarn, but using a 3mm hook, and it is a bit smaller. It's also a bit tighter, so you just have to decide what your preference is, whether you want it to be a bit looser and bigger or a bit smaller and tighter. I tend to go for smaller and tighter, but seeing as this is a beginner's video, I wanted you to clearly see where the gaps and stitches were. So you can just sort of decide which one that you like from that. So now you've made your first square. So for the rest of your squares, you're just going to change up the center color, the first one that you used. So for example, the beginning of this square used hot pink, and this one used coral, and this one used yellow, so on and so forth. And doing that evens out your yarn consumption, so you'll be able to get more squares out of the yarn that you purchased. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for having some fun with me in my rainbow square tutorial. If you like this video, please subscribe because there will be more really fun tutorials coming up on gamer crafting very soon. You can find me on Instagram at gamercrafting or on Facebook at facebook.com/gamercrafting. Thanks for playing and happy crafting!